Hey ladies and gentlemen, and alike, welcome back to another video sending out a lot of love. This is Best Action Anime with amazing hand-to-hand combat fights by VinnyTube. So VinnyTube, if you'd like me to take down my video, I do not mind, but as requested, let's get into it. If you want to become a part of the Lycans, accept the bite and join the bloodline by hitting the red button down below. That's not getting easier, man. Nope. I hate saying it. But other than that, if you want me to watch any videos, leave them down in the comments or follow the links below. Let's go. Already starting off crazy. This first one has a fucking beautiful art style. Jesus.
Who doesn't love a good old slugfest? Hand-to-hand combat, I feel, is quite underrated in the realm of anime. And then again, why wouldn't it be when you've got some world-ending powers and magic that anime tend to show? Still, there's just something in hand-to-hand combat that elicits such strong reactions with each blow, either out of amazement at the animation or the emotions being shown by the characters. Today, we'll be talking about some of my favorite anime that heavily features some hand-to-hand combat fights. Magical powers aren't exempt, but I will try to focus on stuff that features more physical close quarters battles.
Oh, this one, yeah. I don't know too much about this first one. What is it? Yeah, the outcast genres. Yeah, hold up. This one, everybody was sharing the clips from this. Like, you can get on Instagram and like look this up. I'm pretty sure, depending to the ones that actually give credit to freaking show, because you go into the comments and you find everyone going, what's the name of that show? And no one says anything. There is that one guy, shout out to the one guy or the one girl that does it. But this clip, I've seen it many times. Badass.
It's been a while. Hitori no Shita is one of those underrated gems that went under the radar despite having aired for quite a while. Well, it's hard to stand out in an anime season, and the nature of the source material didn't really help matters. In such an underdog position, the best bet you can make is to excel at something, and Hitori no Shita did just that. Where else for a show that heavily features hand-to-hand combat but the godly animation? I featured this show a couple of times on my top fight list due to how smooth and fluid these battles look. While I think emotional investment for those fights isn't as high for me, the actual motion and spectacle of people punching each other and doing martial arts feels like a miracle in itself, especially if you look at the latest season. If you haven't watched Hitori no Shita, you should try picking it up sometime soon. I feel it's a fun action series that deserves quite a bit more love. It's got 4 seasons currently, but it shouldn't be too hard to catch up on. We resume with webcomic superiority with the next entry, God of High School.
Yes, sir. God of High School.
It felt like yesterday when everyone was filled with hype. God of High School's first episode dropped, and it pretty much stole a thunder from a season filled with big sequels that included stuff like Snafu and the original storyline of SAO. Oh, and there's a ReZero season airing too, but no. Everyone's attention was on God of High School. Well, if you watch the first episode and see how it dazzles you with the fighting, then you'd understand. I find it sad that the show got rushed, but when it comes down to the one thing it does well, it does very, very well. God of High School has some of the best and most hyped fights I've seen in modern anime, and it bodes well for the show that has an identity of being that Korean battle tournament anime. God of High School has since earned a polarized reputation, but if you're up for some awesome fight after awesome fight, then you've definitely come to the right place. Fog Hill of 5 Elements is next on the list.
That's what this is called. Fog Hill of 5 Elements. Shout out to God of High School. Oh my goodness. Man, I remember one of my YouTube channel names were something Mori. Man, that shit was awesome. But Fog Hill of 5 Elements, I've also seen this clip before, and the art style is just beautiful.
We come back to yet another underappreciated gem, largely due to the same reasons as Hitori no Shita. It's shows like these that make me happy that I spent quite some time scouring through the whole roster of anime that gets produced every season from various corners of Asia. It makes me feel my efforts are worth it when I stumble upon these treasures. Fog Hill of 5 Elements, like Hitori no Shita, makes up for a lack of exposure and hype by putting its eggs in the basket of eye-catching fights. Eschewing the latter's modern setting, Fog Hill takes us to the ancient era of kingdoms and mysticism. It's got some amazing sequences sequences that I've talked about in a video before, and you should definitely check that one out to get a glimpse of what to expect. This is a short 3-episode title, so if you've got time over the weekend, you should definitely give it a shot. It's not a huge time investment, and if you like these kind of settings with elements of martial arts and history, I guarantee you're going to end up loving this one.
Oh, sick. So sick.
We resume with Megalo Box.
Megalo Box? Never heard of this one. I have to check out that one before.
And here comes Mr. Action Anime of 2018. Oh, you don't know who that is? Well, there's this other video I made where, under certain qualifiers, I crowned Megalo Box Action Anime of its year. It's unique in terms of aesthetics in a sports anime, and it's filled to the brim with gritty and intense fights. Surely a callback to the good old days of Ashita no Joe and the like, Megalo Box combines the Western feel with sci-fi, sports, and a whole lot of drama and emotion. As I said in that video, it evoked a sense of nostalgia for me, and it could do so for you too. The fights might not be as flashy as something from any of the 3 mentioned shows on the list, but the emotion and the impact are things that not a lot of anime can replicate. So make sure you check out Megalo Box. While we're on the topic of boxing anime, we can now move on with Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah.
Nothing beats the OG, the original, the king of combat sports anime. Hajime no Ippo has been met with critical acclaim thanks to its immersive story progression, lovable characters, and mostly the fights that go beyond expectations.
Yeah.
Hajime no Ippo is one of the most honest sports anime out there, and in spite of lacking much of the flair and superpowers that sports anime often employ, it's carved a legacy for itself in the history of anime. It's no surprise that the show will have lots of intense fights that really make you feel the blood, sweat, and tears that these athletes go through in their race to eternal glory. Most Takamura fights should be a good starting point for battle enthusiasts, but Ippo himself has a lot of those amazing battles as well. What I like about Hajime no Ippo is that it's not entirely about sport. The characters, the world and such all have their fair share of development, and I'd say that among sports anime, this show is probably the most complete among them all.
Yeah.
And hey, if you've been enjoying the video so far, that subscribe button's looking real appealing now, I bet, isn't it? If you're one of those many people watching and haven't subscribed, then please consider doing so. Seeing that subscriber count go up is one of the biggest motivators for any content creator after all, right? Have you done subscribing? Good. Thank you for your patronage, and let's get back to the video. Real Drive is up next, and this one's a banger. This is a show that hasn't been talked about that much. Real Drive takes a lot of inspiration from the cyberpunk series of old that has quite the psychosocial or metaphysical backdrop. Think something like Ghost in the Shell, or even Serial Experiments Lane, if we're to stretch out even further. While Real Drive didn't get a whiff of the popularity that those mentioned titles enjoyed, it does have one very special thing going for it. Awesome hand-to-hand combat fights. You should check those out if you want to find a reason to pick up this show. Combat enthusiasts would surely enjoy the show, and I hope that whichever type of watcher you are, you'll definitely give this niche series a shot. It takes a while to rev up and all, but I had a blast watching it from start to finish. How can we have a list featuring hand-to-hand combat anime without Baki?
Yeah, to be honest. But Baki is so...
Of course, Baki takes a spot on this list. Honestly, Baki doesn't have the most original premise out there. Young man goes on a journey to become the strongest person in the world. However, the show makes up for it in execution, thanks to its wild cast of characters that are full of crazy, out-of-this-world surprises. Baki's become quite the cult classic. It's a show that I admire for being on point with its goal as well. No slice of life...
Oh my gosh, if Baki's on this list, I'm not even going to check, but if Baki is on the list, then that means... what is it? What is it? Kengan Ashura.
Shenanigans here. None of the comedic moments that you've likely come to expect if you're an avid fan of modern anime. Just straight up brutal and intense fighting all throughout. It's not like God of High School where the plot's pacing has been completely sacrificed in favor of the flashy fights. Baki has a pretty damn solid progression as well, with characters that are pretty fleshed out. This makes you want to follow everyone's journey and dig deep into their motivations. Baki's become my poster child for the saying with the proper execution, there's nothing that's too wild or crazy to work, and I guess that statement stands given the audience reception for the show and its modern sequels.
Kengan Ashura.
I intentionally placed Baki and
literally right after it has to.
Gengan Ashura next to each other because honestly speaking, the two do have a lot in similar. Both are fighting anime with journey arcs, both have the same vibes in terms of fights, and both are as brutal and intense as each other. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if Gengan Ashura ended up being inspired by Baki. People have criticized Gengan Ashura for the CG, but I personally don't think it detracts from it too much. I mean, it's not Berserk tier, or God forbid Arifureta tier. I think that despite the CG, the anime still manages to capture
Berserk. Nah, Kengan Ashura is still awesome. People criticize this. That's crazy. There's apparently I don't know if this is true. Is there a crossover coming? I personally think. I mean, I can't say that. The shit you see in Kengan Ashura is kind of ridiculous.
Capture the real important things for a fighting anime, the emotional impact of the actual fights, and the characters who all come in fighting for something. He had a somewhat slow start, but picks up pretty quickly, and while the plot does seem straightforward, I myself thoroughly enjoyed it. It's available on Netflix if you're up for some viciously passionate fights.
That advance.
I want to end this list with something most of you are familiar with, and I think that the best mainstream anime for it would be Naruto. Naruto is one of the shows that spawned an entire generation of fans. I know. Hand-to-hand combat's not the first thing you think of when we say Naruto. However, in that batch of mainstream shonen that took over in the 2000s, it's the one that emphasized combat, specifically hand-to-hand combat, the most. Well, you just gotta look at how awesome Rock Lee's major fights were. Despite largely being comic relief, he and Guy have some of the most memorable fights that made our childhoods. And of course, who could forget that Kakashi versus Obito fight? Naruto's a show featuring ninjas that barely act like actual ninjas and come equipped with demon beasts, magical eyes and the like, but all that craziness doesn't overshadow those epic moments of physical hand-to-hand combat. I can still recall how awesome it was when Guy, out of all people, gave Madara a run for his money. Naruto's had a long run, and it's a journey that I don't regret taking. It's a long runner, but if you're up for a long-running shonen with a lot of awesome hand-to-hand fights while having so many people to talk to about it, then Naruto's a personal favorite and my top recommendation.
So many people to talk to about it, because I mean, I feel like nobody actually, which is not wrong, like get hype into a series. It caught the fire it did in everything, in everybody's minds. It did because it was, you can't lie that it was one of the most spectacular animes. Me, it still depends on who you are when you see that. Me, I really wouldn't say that, but I can respect and understand where it was coming from. I still really like Dragon Ball, right? Like from the beginning. I didn't start with Dragon Ball. I actually started with One Piece. So One Piece is why I'm actually super biased. I like One Piece, and then I tried to get into Naruto a little bit. I think it was like my uncle, I think, and his son that were big onto Naruto, but I can't remember. I think they stopped watching it around a certain time, but I stopped watching it pretty early because it didn't interest me. I think Luffy's story was the world of One Piece was a bit done better in my opinion though. And that's just where I stand. There's a lot of things in One Piece that are very, like they resemble things in real life, which I wish, shout out to you who made this comment, because you got exactly what I was saying. Since I'm a madman, it's amazing when people decipher what I mean, because I'm very like enigmatic. Nah, but in all seriousness, shout out to that comment that realized that One Piece, you can see it with different animes. You gotta just have the eyes or the eye open to see it. But One Piece is really reflective of like our world in a way. And there's just many things that One Piece does really right. And I think if you want to talk about focusing on hand-to-hand combat too, One Piece technically is, aside from blades, because there's a lot of blades in Naruto too. Naruto, but Luffy basically is 100% hand-to-hand. Same with Sanji. They're 100% hand-to-hand combat. There's powers involved, but they do their fights really well too. I don't know. But again, I'm biased. I love One Piece, but the thing is, yeah. I guess this is technically.
So, how about you? Which anime with the best hand-to-hand combat fights is
dope?
Your favorite? It could be
Naruto. Like honestly, when people do a top, obviously it's his video, but You could throw, if Naruto is gonna be one of those things you throw on, it should just be at the first thing. Like, you should just throw it in the beginning so people expect it. But ending your video with something so fucking, that's just only my opinion. Like, don't take me like serious, just how I feel about it.
Something from my list, or better yet, something that I neglected to mention.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy to see what you've got for me, so give it your best shot on the comment section down there. As always, be sure to stay a little bit longer and browse the channel in case you see a video that catches your attention. I've got a lot of content, and you might just find the perfect one that you've been looking for. You may also support me through channel memberships and Patreon, and you can help.
Cool, yeah, definitely. Shout out to him. It was a good video, but yeah, throwing Naruto on the end is just literally like, you should throw like honorable mentions before we begin, and then just be Dragon Ball, Naruto, because like those are mostly hand to hand too, or well, Dragon Ball, and then like you don't have to put One Piece if you don't want to, but I would consider that hand to hand. I only said that because I'm biased as shit, but there's like, I think a few other ones that are like nope, not Mob Psycho. Hunter Hunter a bit. Damn. Yeah. Actually, it's a little bit kind of difficult in there, but I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I will see y'all in the next one. Hope I delivered. Much love in Moonlight. And yeah, this list was pretty spot on. There's a lot of fire in here that I definitely have to check out now. I have to check out this one because she was absolutely beating her ass, yo. Oh my gosh. All while holding her arm. And then, which is the other one? I don't know if I'm going to see the 3 episodes of these. And then where else? Yeah, and then Hitori no Shita. I gotta see it because I actually finally got the name. But yeah. Alright. Peace out.